The Philadelphia Eagles finally found the spark they'd been searching for, and did it in a game that felt like a turning point. After back-to-back losses and an ugly showing against the New York Giants, the pressure was on. Fans were frustrated, the media was circling like vultures, and the season felt like it was teetering on the edge. But against the Minnesota Vikings, the Eagles didn't just win, they made a statement. It wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it was the most complete performance this team has put together all year. And at the center of it all, a quarterback who was supposed to be washed, two-star receivers who were unhappy, and a defense that finally looked like it could carry its weight again. From the very first snap, something felt different. It wasn't just the energy, it was the execution. Jalen Hurts came out with something to prove, and he wasted no time silencing the noise. On a crucial fourth down early in the game, he dropped back and unleashed a perfect deep ball to A.J. Brown down the left sideline for a 37-yard touchdown. The throw, the timing, the communication, it was all textbook. Hurts gave a subtle motion, A.J. read it immediately, and just like that, the Eagles were on the board. The protection held up beautifully, and it looked like maybe, just maybe, this offense was finally ready to hit its stride. But of course, nothing with this team ever comes that easy. What followed was a string of 3-and-outs and stalled drives as the offense went ice cold. That first touchdown would be their only points of the half. Old habits crept back in, questionable play calling, a lack of rhythm, and once again the run game couldn't get going. Yet something about this game just felt different. Maybe it was the defense stepping up with physicality and some huge individual plays. Maybe it was the fact that the team wasn't folding under pressure anymore. Either way, the second half would tell a very different story. Coming out of halftime, the Eagles' offense delivered one of the most explosive plays of the season. On a well-designed play action, Hurts let it fly to Devonta Smith for a 79-yard bomb, the longest touchdown of Smith's young career. But what really makes this one special is that it wasn't just drawn up by the coaches. It was Smitty himself who called it in the locker room. He saw the way the Vikings were crashing their safeties down all game and knew that if they lined up a certain way, he'd be wide open. He went to Landon Dickerson, advocated for the look, and sure enough, it got called. One play later, Smith was streaking down the field with nobody near him. That's awareness, leadership, and trust, and the coaches listening to their players is a huge reason why this play worked. Now, let's talk about what really changed for the Eagles' offense in this game. And it wasn't just energy or effort. It was schematic. After weeks of looking stale, basic, and predictable, the offense finally made a real adjustment. For the first time all year, they leaned heavily on snaps from under center, using play action in a way that kept the defense guessing. And that wasn't by accident. Earlier in the week, Jalen Hurts reportedly asked the staff to commit more to the run and build the offense from under center. The result? The Eagles ran 20 plays from under center, nearly matching their total from the last month combined. They dialed up play action at the right times, and it paid off in a huge way. Hurts went 4 for 4 off play action for 121 yards and a touchdown. These weren't short dump-offs either. These were deep, surgical strikes that shredded a Vikings defense ranked second in the league against the pass. And if that wasn't enough, Hurts wasn't just executing plays. He was creating them. On a crucial 3rd and 15, he escaped the pocket and found Smith again for 28 yards. A few plays later, another under-center play action led to a big gain over the middle. Then came another signature moment. Hurts, facing pressure, checked into a shot play on the line, saw the coverage he liked, and dropped a perfect deep ball to A.J. Brown for a 26-yard score. You could see the fire in Hurts' eyes all game long. Calm, confident, surgical. He finished with 19 completions on 23 attempts, over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a perfect passer rating. That's right, a perfect 158.3. The first in the NFL this season. And again, this wasn't against a bottom-tier defense. This was the second-best pass defense in football. And Hurts carved them up like he was playing on rookie mode. Of course, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown deserve their flowers too. Combined, the duo put up over 300 receiving yards, with Smith racking up a career-high 183 and A.J. Brown adding 121 plus 2 touchdowns. Smith was uncoverable all night, finding soft spots in zone and torching man coverage. And Brown, that physical, yards-after-catch monster we've come to love, was back in full force. On a night where the run game once again failed to provide any real production, it was the wideouts who carried the load, and they delivered. That said, the rushing attack is still a glaring issue. Saquon Barkley was bottled up all game, finishing with just 44 yards on 18 carries. As a team, the Eagles barely cracked 45 total rushing yards. That's not going to cut it in the long run. And yes, defenses are loading the box, daring Hurts to beat them through the air, but unless something changes with execution, blocking, or play design, this offense will continue to be unbalanced. The shift to under center was a good sign, and it might open things up if defenses start to respect the pass more, but for now, the ground game is a real concern. And then there's the play calling. Look, it wasn't all bad. The offense looked sharper, crisper, more unpredictable at times. That's progress. But there were still way too many moments where you could tell the play call didn't give the players a real shot. Situational decisions were questionable. Routes looked static and uninspired at times. And let's be honest, most of the explosive plays didn't come from some genius design. They came because Jalen Hurts was out there playing like an MVP, because Devonta Smith read the defense better than anyone else on the field, and because A.J. Brown is just that dude. So while Kevin Patullo deserves a small amount of credit for tweaking the approach and adding more variety, this game was won by the players. But the Eagles weren't just cooking on offense. The defense, especially in the second quarter, came to play. Up 7-3, pressure from Jalen Carter forced Carson Wentz into a mistake, throwing it straight into the hands of Jalen Hunt, who took it back for 6. After dropping a similar opportunity last week, Hunt made no mistake this time, and he didn't stop there. 5 pressures, 3 QB hits, 2 hurries. Easily his best performance as a pro. Add to that a pick by rookie Andrew Mukuba, and suddenly this defense looked opportunistic again. It wasn't perfect. They still gave up big yards, and Jordan Addison had a big day. But when it came time to get stops in the red zone, the Eagles clamped down. Forcing 5 field goals on 6 trips is what won this game. And it's hard to talk about this game without shouting out the linebackers. Zach Bond led the team, with 10 tackles, and was flying all over the field. Nakobe Dean finally got meaningful snaps after being eased back from injury, and he made the most of them. 6 tackles, 1 for loss, and energy all over the field. After weeks of questions about this linebacker group, this game showed real signs of life. But the biggest buzz coming out of this win wasn't even about the players who suited up. It was the potential return of a franchise legend. Reports started swirling pre-game that Brandon Graham is seriously considering a return to the team. Yes, that Brandon Graham. Mr. Strip Sack himself. After what seemed like a storybook retirement, the veteran pass rusher could be back in green sooner than anyone expected. And from the sounds of it, the locker room would welcome him back with open arms. His leadership, his energy, and yes, even his ability to still contribute on the field would be a massive boost to a defense that's starting to find its rhythm again. And while the idea of Brandon Graham returning already had fans buzzing, the impact it could have inside the locker room is even bigger. For a team that's trying to recapture the physical, no-nonsense identity that's defined the Eagles at their best, bringing back a tone-setter like BG would be massive. Even if he's not playing every down, even if his role is situational, his voice, leadership, and presence would instantly elevate the defense. This is someone who's been through it all, who knows what winning in Philly really means, and who clearly still has some juice left. The coaching staff knows it, the players know it, and the city would be all in. And based on the timeline that's been floated around, we could see him back on the field as soon as next week. All of that adds up to a sense of momentum that this team hasn't had in a while. It's not just about one win or one performance. It's about progress. And for the first time in weeks, you can actually see that progress taking shape. There were still mistakes, sure. The run game remains a problem. The play calling still needs more consistency. And the defense gave up too many big gains. But the difference now is that the players seem to be driving the improvement. Jalen Hurts is clearly taking more control of the offense, not just with his arm, but with his leadership and pre-snap adjustments. Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are showing why they're one of the best receiver duos in football. And on defense, young guys like Jalen Hunt, Andrew Mukuba, and Nakobe Dean are making real plays. That's the kind of foundation you can actually build on. Let's not forget, just a week ago, the national media was ready to bury Jalen Hurts. One mediocre game, and suddenly the same tired narratives were back. He can't read defenses, he's inaccurate, he's holding the offense back. But this game wasn't just a good performance. It was a complete dismantling of one of the best pass defenses in the league. Hurts wasn't just efficient, he was surgical. 5 deep throws, 5 completions, over 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns on those plays alone. His footwork, his patience in the pocket, his decision-making, all of it was elite. And what made it even better was that he did it all while the run game gave him nothing. He had to carry the offense, and he did exactly that. There was a calmness in Hurts' demeanor during this game that said everything. You could see it in the way he handled pressure, the way he commanded the huddle, the way he communicated with his receivers. On the sideline, after that perfect throw to A.J. Brown late in the game, you saw the fire, but not the chaos. He wasn't rattled, he wasn't emotional. He was locked in. And when you have a quarterback operating at that level of confidence and control, it elevates everyone around him. The offensive line played with more focus. The receivers ran sharper routes. The entire operation just felt more in sync. And then there's Devonta Smith, who deserves just as much love. It's not easy being a number 2 receiver in an offense that often doesn't spread the ball around the way fans might expect. There have been games this season where he was barely targeted, where he quietly did his job without making a fuss. But when his number was called in this one, he answered in a massive way. 9 catches, 183 yards, a touchdown, and one of the most impressive deep grabs of the season. But even more impressive was how that play came to be. Smith didn't just run the route. He helped design the moment. He saw the coverage, understood the formation tendencies, and made the call. He told the staff that it would be open. And he was right. Those are the kind of players that win you games, not just because of their athletic ability, but because of their football IQ, their preparation, and their willingness to speak up when they see something. And for the coaches, listening to their guys and adjusting in-game is a major step forward. We've criticized the play calling plenty this season, and rightfully so, but in this game, there were at least flashes of real adjustment. More under-center plays, better timing on play action, and moments where the offense felt dynamic instead of static. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. A storm seems to be brewing over the city of brotherly love, and it's leaving Eagles fans in disbelief. Sources close to the team have sparked a whirlwind of speculation suggesting that Jalen Hurts, the dynamic quarterback who has become the face of Philadelphia's resurgence, may be on the verge of leaving the Eagles. The news, still unconfirmed, has already sent shockwaves through the fanbase and NFL circles alike, igniting a frenzy of social media chatter and late-night debates across sports talk shows. Hurts, who has been celebrated for his leadership, dual-threat ability, and poise under pressure, has been a cornerstone of the Eagles' offense. His rise from a talented yet underestimated college quarterback to a franchise leader has endeared him to fans, teammates, and coaches alike. But whispers are growing that contractual disagreements, differing visions for the team's future, or perhaps even a desire for a fresh start elsewhere could be pushing the quarterback toward a dramatic exit. The thought of Hurts leaving Lincoln Financial Field has left Philly in a state of disbelief. Fans have taken to online forums and social media platforms to express a mixture of sadness, anger, and outright denial. "We can't lose Jalen," one fan tweeted, capturing the sentiment shared by thousands. Local bars and sports venues reported that conversations were dominated by speculation about Hurts' potential destinations, with some even daring to imagine the impact on the Eagles' playoff hopes. League insiders caution that nothing is set in stone, but the very fact that such rumors are gaining traction signals that the Eagles' front office may soon face tough decisions. Could a blockbuster trade be in the works? Is free agency calling Hurts to greener pastures? Or is this just another round of NFL noise designed to unsettle a team on the rise? Whatever the truth, the speculation alone is enough to shake the city's confidence in its beloved squad. For now, Philadelphia waits, hearts heavy and eyes anxious. The possibility of Jalen Hurts walking away from the Eagles is more than a rumor. It's a potential turning point, one that could redefine the city's football landscape. If the whispers prove true, the streets of Philly may soon echo with a collective sigh, mourning not just a player, but an era that could slip through their fingers. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.